Humans are naturally curious and interested in observing creatures living in the wild, but they are not safe there. Zoos are not wild. They are not jungles or savannas. They are spaces where everything is under control. Animals are handpicked by specialists, enclosures are designed by engineers, and staff are trained for years to handle emergency situations. Visitors feel protected. Thick glass inspires confidence. Moats appear impassable. Fences seem secure. Every year, millions of people come to zoos confident of one thing: they're safe here. But sometimes the security fails. Sometimes the rules are ignored. Sometimes one wrong move is enough to shatter the illusion. And when this happens, the zoo turns into a place of horror, chaos, and death. The line between humanity and instinct can disappear in an instant. The stories you'll see below are sure to give you goosebumps. A lesson in how innate instincts invariably triumph over any obstacle. Brookfield Zoo, August 3rd, 1996. This summer day was like hundreds of others. Sunshine, ice cream, children's laughter, and the usual parental shouts like, "Don't go there!" And then, tragedy. A 3-year-old boy hanging over the edge of the fence of the Tropic World Pavilion lost his balance. By the time his parents realized what was happening, he was already falling. The impact with the hard surface almost immediately caused him to lose consciousness. Screams of horror rang out from the crowd of terrified relatives and visitors. Below, in the enclosure, a group of 7 West African gorillas reacted instantly to the sounds. And then something happened that no one expected. One of the gorillas, an 8-year-old female named Binti Jua, approached the child. It was her first contact with a human inside the enclosure. The crowd froze, expecting the worst. But Binti acted differently. She carefully picked up the boy, held him close, and carried him to the service exit, where staff could safely retrieve him. Then she calmly stepped back. The child was taken to the hospital with a broken arm and a deep facial wound, the consequences of the fall. After this event, Binti Jua gained worldwide fame. Her humane act was widely discussed in the press, media, and numerous television programs. It was hailed as an act of compassion and intelligence. However, not all encounters with animals end so positively. Sometimes, even seemingly harmless animals can attack if angered or provoked. And much more often, things end differently. On January 7th, 2009, Zhang Chao brought his 5-year-old son to the Beijing Zoo, eager to show his heir real pandas. The little one, clutching a toy in his palm, was overwhelmed with joy. The child's delight was cut short in an instant. The toy slipped from his hands and fell into the moat of the panda enclosure. The boy began to cry. His father, eager to remedy the situation, climbed over the fence and jumped 3 meters into the enclosure. He didn't notice that an adult male panda named Gugu, weighing approximately 100 kilograms, was watching him. Gugu attacked instantly. He sank his teeth into the man's leg, then into his other leg. Zoo staff tried to pry the panda's jaws open with poles. When they succeeded, both of Zhang's legs were torn apart. All this happened before his shocked son's eyes. Ultimately, the zoo paid for Zhang's initial surgery, but refused further compensation. The man had violated the rules by entering the predator's enclosure. And this wasn't the first time. Gugu had attacked people before, and also because of the humans themselves. This tragedy could have been prevented if not for human carelessness. Pittsburgh, November 2012. In the next episode, a mother lifted her little boy to get a better look at the zoo's inhabitants. But one uncontrollable movement changed everything. It was a bright Sunday. Elizabeth and Jason Durkash were walking through the zoo with their 2-year-old son, Maddox, an active and inquisitive child. They approached one of the main attractions, the African wild dogs enclosure. Visitors sat on a raised 3-meter-high wooden platform, surrounded by a meter-high railing that prevented excessive leaning. Signs along the railing clearly warned, "Do not lift children." Despite this, like many other parents, Elizabeth lifted Maddox to get a better look at the rare animals below. If only she had known what would happen next. Elizabeth ignored the warning signs. She lifted her son, just for a second. It was enough. With a sudden, unexpected movement, her son slipped from her embrace. First, he fell onto a thin safety net designed to catch dropped glasses or gadgets. The structure couldn't withstand the weight, even though he weighed 14 kilograms. The child rolled and landed inside a compound with 11 hyenas. The pack reacted instantly. One of the predators rushed forward. In a short period of time, 11 carnivores surrounded it. On the observation deck above, people began screaming. The mother's screams rent the air. She repeatedly called her son's name, while below, the predators were already attacking the unfortunate baby. They bit his tiny body, clenching his strong jaws, and knocked him over, dragging him along the ground. Zookeepers rushed in with acoustic devices and food. They managed to drive 7 hyenas away. They fired training darts laced with a tranquilizer at the others, but the darts did not work quickly enough. The remaining predators continued their rampage. A few minutes later, police arrived. One of the particularly ferocious predators was shot in a last attempt to protect the child. The remaining hyenas eventually fled, but the events had already happened. Maddox suffered more than 6 horrific wounds to his head, neck, and torso. A later medical examination would determine that Maddox died not from a fall, but from an animal attack. This was the first visitor death in the zoo's 114-year history. Maddox's death shocked the zoo world, teaching a harsh lesson. Even with barriers, warning signs, and centuries of fatal accidents, one inattention can be the last. China, May 10th, 2016. In the following episode, the line between safety and tragedy wasn't just crossed, it practically disappeared. It was May 10th, 2016, at Chishiku Wildlife Park in Rongcheng, China. The spring air was warm, the water in the walrus pool was blue, and at its edge stood 30-year-old businessman Zhou Lejun, phone in hand, sharing this delightful moment with friends via chat. So powerful, so enormous. He laughed toward the camera, watching the walrus's enormous body pass beneath the surface. Nearby stood Duan, an experienced caretaker who had cared for this marine mammal from infancy for over 10 years. He fed him treats from the palm of his hand, filed his tusks, and believed in his peaceful nature. But warning signs warned guests to stay away. Businessman Zhou Lejun took a selfie by the walrus pool, ignoring the warning signs. And then Zhou did what too many do in front of wild animals. He stepped forward, turning his back to the pool for a better selfie. A 1.5-ton walrus silently emerged behind him, wrapping its flippers around his waist. At first, it looked like an awkward hug, then followed a sharp jerk into the water. Zhou's muffled screams cut through the laughter of onlookers as he disappeared under the water. Ward and Duan rushed to rescue Zhou. First, he grabbed bamboo poles and tried to pry the walrus away from Zhou. When that failed, Duan dove into the water himself. The walrus released Zhou only to grab Duan instead. He dragged them one after another into the water, giving them no chance to catch their breath. Rescuers arrived and did everything they could to save the men. They finally drove the walrus away, but it was too late. The men drowned, and the walrus calmly swam to another part of the pool, unaware that it had just found itself at the center of a national news storm. The zoo called it a tragedy caused by human error. After the tragedy, the barriers separating the pool were raised, and new warning signs were added. But for the two families, this made no difference. Dear visitors of my channel, have you ever experienced a moment at a zoo that still sends shivers down your spine? Share it in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more true stories.